We all need to eat because food is the fuel that keeps the body running. But how do you know what nutrients are in your morning bowl of cereal, or how many calories were in that serving of ice cream you had last night? Well, finding that information is as easy as picking up the package the food came in and reading the nutrition facts label, commonly referred to as the food label. This label is designed to provide information about the nutrient content of the food item, so consumers can make informed food choices. Food labels are not just a good idea, they're required for most packaged foods. This lesson will build your understanding of how to read the different components of the nutrition label and shed light on the various claims you see printed on food packages. The FDA has proposed some changes to the current nutrition facts label. We see both the old and the proposed new label here. Both versions let you see at a glance the nutrient composition of the food. A great place to start when reading any nutrition facts label is at the top. Here we find the serving size. Serving sizes are standardized, so you can easily compare similar foods. The top of the label also specifies the servings per container. In other words, the number of servings you would consume if you ate the entire package. As we move down the food label, we see the calories per serving are listed next, and depending on which version you look at, you may also see calories from fat listed here. If you're watching your weight, you want to pay attention to all these components. For example, if a serving of macaroni and cheese has 250 calories, but there are 2 servings in the container, then you would double your calories by eating the whole box. The next section of the food label lists nutrients found within the serving. And if you look closely, you see that the first nutrients listed include total fats, which are further broken down into saturated fats and trans fats, along with cholesterol and sodium. For most people, these are the nutrients they have no trouble consuming enough of, due to our love for processed foods and fast foods. In fact, these are often considered the nutrients we should limit in our diet to improve health. The other nutrients listed in this section include total carbohydrates, which are broken down into dietary fiber and sugars, as well as proteins. These nutrients are followed by some key vitamins and minerals. The food label provides information on these vitamins and minerals as well as fiber, because these are nutrients that most people do not get enough of in their daily diet. Boosting your intake of these nutrients can boost your health and may reduce your risk of chronic disease. For example, eating adequate amounts of fiber promotes a healthy digestive system and may lower your risk of heart disease. Now you might have noticed that these nutrients have a percentage listed beside them. In fact, if you look below the calorie listing, you will see the heading Percent Daily Value, or Percent DV. This is the percentage of the nutrient in the serving based on a 2,000 calorie diet. For example, if your container of yogurt contains 20% of the daily value for calcium, it provides 20% of the calcium you need to eat that day if you're following a 2,000 calorie diet. The percent daily value helps you quickly determine if a serving of food is high or low in a nutrient. A quick guide for evaluating the health value of a food is to follow the 5-20 rule. Here's how the rule works. If a food has 5% daily value or less, it is low in that nutrient. If it has 20% daily value or more, it is high in that nutrient. So a glass of artificial orange drink may have less than 5% calcium, making it a poor source of calcium, whereas a glass of milk might have 25% calcium, making it a good source. By the way, this rule also works for nutrients that you might want to limit in your diet, such as saturated fats or sodium. For these nutrients, try to find foods that contain less than 5% of the daily value. The asterisk beside the percent daily value is there to make you aware of the footnote area of the food label that tells you that the percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. This statement is required on every food label, but if the food item is too small, the remaining information we see here in the footnote may be excluded. If a full footnote is shown, the information presented does not change, even if you're comparing potato chips to a bag of spinach. This is because the footnote shows the recommended daily intake of key nutrients. These values are shown for a 2,000 and a 2,500 calorie diet. What is interesting to note is that the values change for some nutrients, like total fat and total carbohydrates, but they remain unchanged for cholesterol and sodium. For these two ingredients, more is not better. Knowing how to read food labels provides you with valuable information about nutrients contained in a food item. Yet you might not have to do this much sleuthing to find out if the food is a good choice for you. This is because food manufacturers are allowed to put certain nutrient content claims on the package the food comes in. These claims indicate the nutritional value of the food. Nutrition content claims are usually points of interest for health-conscious consumers, such as fat-free or high in oat bran. Now, as you can imagine, most food manufacturers would love to put claims on their products that encourage people to buy them. To avoid false advertising, claims on food products are reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA. This review process also applies to health claims, which are simple statements that describe the relationship between the nutrients contained in the food and a health condition. For a health claim to be approved, it must be based on scientific evidence. For example, the relationship between calcium and osteoporosis has been well established. So, upon approval by the FDA, a food containing a sufficient level of calcium could report on its package that it contains calcium and that a diet adequate in calcium may help reduce the risk of osteoporosis. Let's review. A nutrition facts label or food label is designed to provide information about the nutrient content of the food item. At the top, we find the serving size and servings per container, followed by the calories per serving and possibly the calories from fat. The next section of the food label lists nutrients found within the serving, with nutrients that we may want to limit listed first, followed by some nutrients that most people do not get enough of. The percent daily value, or percent DV, is a percentage of the nutrient in the serving based on a 2,000 calorie diet. You can use the 5-20 rule to quickly determine if a serving of food is high or low in a nutrient. If the food has 5% daily value or less, it is low in that nutrient. If it has 20% daily value or more, it's high in that nutrient. If a full footnote is shown, the information is always the same because it shows the recommended daily intake of key nutrients. These values are shown for a 2,000 and a 2,500 calorie diet. Food manufacturers are allowed to put nutrient content claims on a food package to indicate the nutritional value of the food, such as fat-free or high in oat bran. Similarly, health claims, which are simple statements that describe the relationship between the nutrients contained in the food and a health condition, may be made. However, claims must be approved by the FDA.